Okay, so welcome to our website launch event. We are very excited to announce finally that our website is up and available with all the information we tried to put on there. So thanks for joining us. Wanted to first do a quick introduction of our core members. Jenna Heffron, Jacqueline Kish, Amy MacArthur, Elisa Sheth, Laura Van Pembroke, and Esther Harrison. And these are all our core members who contributed to making of this website. And on the slides there are pictures of the six members that I just mentioned. And I'm not there actually, but and then there are logos of all the institutions that we are affiliated with, which ranges from multiple in the United States and also one in France. So we are an international group as of now. Um, So I am going to start us off with a brief overview of how we developed, what made us develop the website, and what is on the website, and some of the significances. But I realized I didn't actually do my visual description, so I'm gonna do that quickly before I move forward. So I'm a middle-aged Asian woman with long black hair, and I'm wearing uh, glasses that are light brown. So that's me, and I'm going to continue talking about the development process of our website. So I want to first acknowledge that the website was developed with some funds. So first we had Disability Studies Programs Harlan Hahn Endowment grant from the University of Washington, which helped us develop everything. And then it's maintained by funding from Towson University College of Health Professions. Okay, so why is it important? So we propose to develop this website because we know that OT practitioners and OT educators are really champions of inclusion. We want to support that's our work, right? Our work is and goal is to increase participation in education as part of it. But we also found that OT education is not always anti-ableism list and often also actually reinforce ableist attitudes and practices. Um, and unfortunately, disability training in healthcare education varies widely across different programs, and that's because some programs have, a faculty member or someone in the community who can speak to this topic, but others don't have that, and a lot of them often don't have access to a faculty member who have expertise in that topic. So they don't feel comfortable talking about it and may not address, different disability studies perspectives or, disability justice or social model perspectives in their curriculum. Um, so if what we thought is if we actually provide some ways to implement for faculty to implement this kind of education or training in their curriculum, the differences between programs maybe, even out. So the primary goal for this website was to create resources for OT educators so they can use information in their curriculum or in their education to improve our overall fields awareness around disability studies and disability affirmative kind of practice. But we also had a lot of other information that we wanted to share. So, the primary purpose was for educators in creating some modules, but we also have other tabs where we store the information of what we have done in the past. So this is our website. It's the home page, a screenshot of a home page, and the website address is otdsnetwork.org. Um, so how we developed the educational modules, because that was the primary goal and something new that we created with this website. We all of us did a lot of work in these areas. We taught, we did presentations together, and so we just brought everything we have done, and kind of created a best version of those. And so each education module, we wanted to make it easier for an educator to implement. So we put those into a specific format that I will talk about in a minute. Um, and two members at least led a module and got feedback from everyone. So everyone was able to provide feedback on, have input on the development of modules. Okay, so this is a screenshot of the education page. So if you click on the education tab on the website, you'll see module one, which is the medical and social models of disability. And here's module two, which is an ethics case. And we're talking about a case where someone was they withdraw the medical equipment based on family members' decision versus the person after having a spinal cord injury. That's my understanding. And so, yeah, so that's the then we discussed that based on, disability perspectives. Disability module three is disability culture, and talk about disability culture, I guess, and help practitioners or educators have better understanding of what disability culture looks like and how we can use that to support our clients and also increase awareness of OT students about that topic. So this is the structure of the educational modules. So each module has a brief recorded presentation where we talk about the key content or key message of the particular topic. Then there's an instructor guide, which has ways for the educator to implement or integrate the module into their classroom. There are also lots of discussion questions that they can use and choose from, and they're all editable, and they can kind of tailor the materials based on their needs. There are also student handouts with certain aspects that students would need in order to follow the case or the materials. For this particular module, we ask people to sign in just for our purpose of tracking who is using it. But yeah, also be able to maybe reach out later if someone decided to use it. So please create an account and remember that for login for the next time. We have a resource page, and this is really a collection of the resources we have collected for a long time and we have used in different presentations. And so these are credible resources that, because there's a lot out there about disability and not all resources are great or adequate. So we wanted to provide a good list of disability related resources that people can go to. And this can be used, of course, by anyone who is interested in learning on a specific topic. And Laura will talk a little bit more about these resources. And then we have a research tab where we primarily put on all our publications. So can see the work we have done collectively and also individually. And then we have, of course, the news and events page where we post all our events and or happy newses. Okay, some significance. Disability studies in foreign education is important because it can empower future OTs to better understand or evaluate ableism and implicit bias. Also, it's part of culture humility And it's important that they understand and practice allyship with the disability community. The website, we hope it allows us to reach a larger audience and maximize the impact in the field by making this information more accessible to more people. And so our next steps is continue to maintain this website, but also we have some ideas for more modules. We want to work on history of the disability rights movement, ableism, and inclusive teaching strategies, which we hope will, expand some of the topics and ideas people have around disability. All right, here are some of our all the social media things we have available to you. So our website, Facebook, YouTube, and feel free to email us too if you have any questions. All right, thanks.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk a little bit more about the modules and an example of one that I actually used in my own experience. But before I do that, let me do a quick introduction. I'm Elisa Sheth. I'm associate professor at Pacific University in Oregon in the School of Occupational Therapy. And a quick visual description. I am a white woman in my mid 40s with shoulder length brown hair, black rimmed glasses, and today I'm wearing a burgundy button down shirt with some blue stripes. So, right now I'm sharing the education tab, which Danby shared a little bit about. And to give a little context, the program where I teach, Pacific, is a 3-year entry-level OTD program. We have cohorts of around 35 students, sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. And I ended up using Module 1, which is Medical and Social Models of Disability, in one of our first year, first semester courses, Occupational Therapy Process with Adults, Psychosocial Challenges 1. Basically, our program uses the idea of process courses where we walk students through the OT process with different populations across the lifespan. So this is kind of our first psychosocial or mental health focus class. So I also want to give a credit to Caroline Harkins McCarty, who was the instructor for this course when we worked together, and she graciously let me share a little bit more information about her course with you all. So this lecture took place week 6 out of the 16-week semester that we have. So pretty early on in our students' sort of introduction to OT in general, really, and certainly more like mental health focused practice. It is a lecture and lab course that's delivered in person. And so I delivered a guest lecture, basically, in that week. So what I ended up doing, and I'm just going to scroll down here, is as Dami mentioned, we do have this very nice recorded lecture that actually she and I did. So you can see my little thumbnail there too. Thumbnails and thumbnails today, right? And so, but what I actually ended up doing was we also have presentation slides. So I ended up delivering the lecture in person using these presentation slides. And then also using the instructor guide here, which I'm gonna switch over to because I think that's a really useful tool that we developed to help folks implement this. Okay, so scroll down on here a little bit. So we've provided some ideas about, where the module might fit in with different curriculum points. Again, this was a process course that we decided to incorporate it into. And we built some learning objectives. And so these were helpful in terms of looking at the learning objectives for that week in class, that the instructor had developed and kind of seeing where the connections could be. The other really nice thing is that we have mapped out at least some ideas, right, around what ACOTE standards would be applicable to this presentation. And for the class that I guest lectured in, there was some really nice overlap where B.1.2, sociocultural, socioeconomic, and diversity factors and lifestyles was an ACOTE standard that was met by this course, as well as B.1.3, social determinants of health, and B.2.1, scientific evidence, theories, models of practice, and frames of reference. So really nice to be able to show, the instructor that, we designed this module to meet some of those standards that were also incorporated into the class already. So scrolling down a little bit more. What I ended up doing was kind of a variation on some suggestions that we've made. So again, these are really just suggestions. Again, oh, and I should mention before we did, myself and Dr. McCarty did get together and talked about readings. And so I will, let's see, scroll down here. So we have provided just some ideas for readings. We ended up going with Emily Ladau's book, Demystifying Disability, and chapter 2. So we had the students read that before my lecture. Um, they were also asked to read a chapter in the OT and mental health textbook on sociocultural perspectives in mental health practice, as well as Willard and Spackman's OT, the section on medical and social models of disability. So again, there were already some, kind of core textbook chapters that really fit nicely with this module too. And then we added an additional more like lived experience reading as well. So we had them do that ahead of time, and then I delivered the presentation live and incorporated, as I scroll down again, some of these videos into the lecture that I did to help kind of, again, illustrate some of the core concepts when we were talking about particularly the social model of disability. So we have some nice, a wide variety, right? So folks can, view them and really identify what might make the most sense for maybe where the students are in their time in the program and kind of their base knowledge or the focus of the class. Again, this was a more kind of psychosocial mental health focused class, so I always try to keep that in mind. Then after delivering the kind of lecture bit and showing some videos, we did use the discussion questions, so this section down here, to guide you. And we did a large group discussion with the whole class. And I think particularly, again, these were students who had only been in our program for a few weeks at this point. So we kind of talked, instead of talking a little bit more about maybe content that they've had in other classes, that sort of thing. I really asked them to think about maybe their own life experiences, right? If they had experienced disability, whether it was themselves or with a family member or a friend, or maybe to think about shadowing or volunteer work they had done, like in preparation for OT school, or maybe other work and volunteer experiences they had. So we kind of framed it that way because, again, these students didn't have a whole lot of experience in, with other course content at this point. So we asked them to do that, but also just reflect on, again, the learning that they had had during the module, what they thought, if there were any surprises about the content, and to really think about how the medical and social model impact OT work and the people that we work with. So you can see here too, we've also provided some different levels of questions, again, based on kind of where students are in the program, if they are further along and they can really bring it back to other course content that they've had, or if have done field work or capstone work, how do they make the connections there? So we've tried to kind of provide some potential for students to access this material at various points in their time in the program. I will also add that, again, Dr. McCarty, the course instructor, also included this material in a quiz. Part of her course was a series of quizzes to assess learning, of the content throughout the course. So she was able to kind of take some of this and use that for some of that learning assessment. So I think it lends itself well to that sort of thing as too. I think just in my own reflection on doing this work, um, I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised, that the students really did ask thoughtful questions and responses to the discussion questions, even being, again, so early on in the program that they were really engaged with this material. And for many of them, it really was very thought-provoking to them, and they could really relate it to various experiences they had had just in their lives, not even in, the OT world necessarily. So that was really good. And it was very, again, very helpful to try to bring it to where they were, right? Instead of, trying to have some grand thought experiments for students that maybe, again, are very new to the program. Um, I think that this work could have been also integrated into some lab for this particular course. The lab was really took on like a book club style where students in small groups read a book throughout the semester and discussed it. The book dealt with kind of the history of mental health care in the United States. And I think with potentially a little bit more preparation, a little bit more taking this core module and like adapting it could have been a really interesting way to integrate it as well. And I think incorporating more small group discussions, would have been a nice element as well. But again, this I think worked really well in a large group discussion. Wasn't, a ton of extra adaptation on my part or the course instructor's part. It fit in really nicely, kind of with just a few modifications, but it could have been modified even more to be more integrated. Again, developing a case study around mental health or psychosocial focus that also looked at medical versus social model could also be a really valuable learning exercise for students. So it was a really, good experience for me to kind of see how this material works in the real world, and also think about additional ways that it could be incorporated and maybe incorporated in other parts of the program too, right? Maybe in the second year in a different class, maybe one of our more physical disabilities or even pediatric focus classes, right? Um, so I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but otherwise I will turn it over to Laura to talk more about our resources.
Okay. Thanks, Elisa. I learned a lot. Makes me excited to use this. I'm going to quickly share my screen. So the resources that are available on the website. Oops, I'm going to back up. Sorry, I'm going to give a quick introduction to myself and a descriptor. I am an associate professor at Rush University. I teach our OTD program. I teach 3 courses, Introduction to Theory, Healthcare Systems, as well as Introduction to Physical Disability. I am a late to middle-aged to late female, and I have white skin, blonde hair, and I'm wearing reading glasses, and I'm sitting in my office. So the resources, of course, you click on resources, but I do want to say within each of the modules, as Lisa highlighted, each of the educational materials have resources within them. So you'll see resources in different tabs, but this one is specific to just a plethora of really amazing sites to explore. So we have a variety of different categories for resources.
Laura, I'm
Yes.
just going to stop you really quick. Can you try to reshare? We're seeing your desktop instead of the
Oh,
resources page.
thanks. Hold on one
Yeah,
second.
no worries.
Um, oh yeah, that's not a good thing to see. Hold on one second. Um, and thanks for interrupting me. I'm not going to be looking at my chat right now. Hopefully, huh?
It
I'm
was
having,
there. It was just like just not on the main screen. I think
is
your
it
was on the
this
other side of the other like screens.
this one?
Want to move it over to your
Hold on
main
one
if you're
sec.
using two.
Now I don't see it. I'm going to unshare for a second. Um,
And if that doesn't work, Laura, I can share it and you
Why
can.
don't you do
Okay,
that
sure.
because it's not working for me.
Okay, so make sure you stop sharing.
Yep. I think I did I?
No.
Okay, stop. Um, how do I get out of share? Um,
All right, let's see.
okay, thank you.
Did that work? Okay.
Yeah, everybody see it now?
Okay, I was able to
Okay,
use my
so sorry.
host privileges. That's okay. All right.
Okay, so we've got a variety of different categories. We've got OT specific resources, disability rights and legislation. We have other networks and advocacy groups, arts and culture, and disability narratives and resources for exploring neurodiversity. That includes concerns of the community as well as resources for the community, including students and practitioners who identify as being being neurodiverse. So let's look quickly at the OT specific resources. This link is a connection to our variety of different social networks, but we also have more occupational therapy communities that have also, again, just a variety of different voices that are being provided and resources that are offered. These three are very I think active, especially COTAD, of course, and Disrupt OT. And they really are exploring broader diversity issues within the profession. So I think it's a really nice place to go to see the other perspectives beyond just this network's perspective. Let's go back to the Disability Rights and Legislation tab. So I personally find this to be extremely helpful. The ADA Knowledge Translation Center needs to update their website. However, it's a really good tool. So go ahead and click on that, the ADA Knowledge Translation Center. I love this for a variety of reasons. It provides a lot of specifics on ADA's concerns. So if you go to their resources, so click up on their tab above, Elisa, go to depth. If you look at this, ask ADA questions, view ADA publications. I really like the ADA training. So click on the ADA training. I actually have students do this in my healthcare systems course. And if you look at the web courses that they have ADA foundations, they have Title I, Title II, they've got a variety of different courses, and the students, when they complete it, they're assessed in their knowledge, and they are then provided with a certificate. So I incorporate that as part of my kind of laying the foundation of information that's important for an occupational therapy student to know. I also think, quite honestly, this would be it is a very valuable source to provide to clients that might need and want more information on their rights, as well as how to navigate barriers and accessibility concerns. So we can click back out of this one and go to the Stories of Care, which is one of our resources. I love this website, this link so much, I can't even tell you. So this is a tool designed to understand the histories of medical experimentation, scientific racism, racial capitalism, and ableism, and some of the many forces shaping the conditions and evolution of healthcare within the United States. I can get really lost in this. There's so much deep analysis of it. Actually, I'd say that might come with a little bit of a trigger warning, because if you go and spend too much time on this, you come away feeling a little overwhelmed by how much discrimination and oppression exists within our healthcare system. So just a little bit of a trigger warning, but it's really great. They have two pieces to this resource that I really love. If you look at the, click on the Explore the Timeline. You can look at the bottom of this, and you can, at the very bottom, you'll see the dates. It's a yellow line, Elisa, and you can just click anywhere. And it will whip you back to an earlier time when we've got some evidence of how some of the foundational aspects of ableism and racism were being incorporated into healthcare. And then you can go anywhere. It doesn't have to be just on. You can do it right in the middle. Yep. And it's going to fast forward you. It's like time travel. So it's a really interesting tool to explore all of these concerns. And I think it would be a really fun tool for students to explore, and then potentially have in a small group, and then potentially have a conversation either on online discussion or in class discussion. And then if you want, go back to the original website of this. If you go up to stories to the top and click on stories, this is a little bit of a deeper dive, as they say on the website, to issues that are very much more specific. So I spent some time this weekend exploring the story of COVID-19, and because that is such a recent one, and it's very clear, and in at least my mind, some of the major concerns. But this has got so much information on how racism and ableism was a huge factor in how our country and how the world responded to COVID-19. So just I love this resource. So let's go back to our network. So we've also got the specific to the disability history. We've got rights movement. This has a lot of more specific issues. I'm not going to have you click on it because I know I'm running out of time, because I want to spend a little bit of a deeper dive with the Crip Camp. So go ahead and click on Crip Camp. I don't know how many people have watched Crip Camp, but if they haven't, it's a really amazing documentary. And this website provides wonderful tools for educators, and potentially, instead of, like, if you're a clinician, instead of having like a manuscript or a peer review of an article or research, this might be a really interesting thing for clinicians to watch and then use some of the resources that they have here. If you look lower, Lisa, go down. Keep going down. So they have this virtual Crip Camp virtual experience, and you can reach out to them, and they will work with you to create that. But keep going down. You don't need to necessarily do that. You could watch the show. Keep going down. Keep going down. And then there's the Crip, not the merch, but the Crip Camp educational curriculum. This, I'm really excited to explore how I might use this in my in one of my courses. Did you click on it? So look at this. It's got parent discussion guide. If you watch the documentary with your family, educators discussion guide, ableism, language, and power. These are tools that I haven't thoroughly explored yet, but I'm really looking forward to using, because I have had my students watch this this documentary, but then posed just my own discussion points. And so I'm excited to explore this a little bit more, to be guided by the authors and the community members from this website. So that's kind of an overview of this tab on our website. So lots and lots of resources that you can spend a lot of time like getting lost in. So yeah, so that's it.
Right. Well, I think we have some time for questions or anything like that. I think I will stop the recording though. Yeah, so let me do that.